Long before red carpets and supercars, old Hollywood had its own royalty, the engines of glamour. Chrome shined brighter than Oscars, and a star's car could say more than a movie ever could. These weren't just machines. They were status, rebellion, romance, and myth on four wheels. In the golden age of Hollywood, from the roaring 20s through the swinging 60s, classic cars became extensions of the stars themselves. A Duesenberg announced your arrival before you stepped out. A Porsche Spyder whispered danger. A Cadillac convertible told the world you'd made it. These vintage celebrity vehicles weren't transportation. They were declarations of identity, power, and taste. The studio lots of MGM, Paramount, and Warner Brothers saw legendary automobiles roll through their gates daily. Beverly Hills driveways became showcases for automotive innovation. Sunset Boulevard transformed into a rolling exhibition of America's finest engineering and Europe's most exotic machinery. From the thundering V16 engines of Depression-era luxury to the space-age tail fins of post-war optimism, each classic Hollywood car carried stories of ambition, romance, and sometimes tragedy. This is the story of 20 legendary classic cars that defined an era, 20 machines that became as immortal as the stars who drove them, 20 pieces of rolling sculpture that proved in old Hollywood. Your automobile wasn't just what got you to premiere, it was a premiere itself. These iconic movie cars and vintage sports cars weren't just driven. They were lived and posed with and remembered forever, because in the golden age, time moved fast, but the classics never stopped shining. 1935 Duesenberg SSJ, the crown jewel of the golden age. Only two ever existed. Two short wheelbase, supercharged masterpieces built for two kings of Hollywood, Gary Cooper and Clark Gable. The Duesenberg SSJ wasn't just America's most powerful pre-war automobile. It was a rolling declaration of supremacy. Under that endless hood sat a 420 cubic inch supercharged straight-eight, producing a shocking 320 horsepower when most cars struggled to reach 100. External side pipes announce your arrival blocks before you turn the corner. At 125 inches between the wheels, it was tighter, sharper, more aggressive than the standard Model J, built exclusively for men who demanded the absolute best. When Cooper's SSJ sold at auction in 2018, it fetched $22 million, setting a record for American pre-war automobiles. The marketing slogan became Hollywood gospel. The only thing that could pass a Duesenberg was another Duesenberg. In a town built on illusion, the SSJ was undeniable reality, pure mechanical domination wrapped in aluminum coachwork. When you own one of two, you owned immortality. 1955 Porsche 550 Spyder, the Rebel's Ride. They called it Little Bastard. Just over 1,200 pounds of aluminum wrapped around a racing soul. The Porsche 550 Spyder was never meant to be tamed. Mid-engine, purpose-built, stripped down to velocity itself. Its 1.5-liter four-cam engine screamed out 135 horsepower, enough to embarrass cars twice its size. James Dean knew what he had. He painted number 130 on the doors and took it to the streets and tracks of California with the fever of someone racing against time itself. The 550 Spyder represented everything post-war youth wanted: European sophistication, racing pedigree, rebellion against chrome excess. When tragedy struck on Route 466, the Silver Spyder became more than a car. It became a cultural thunderclap, a warning, a myth that would haunt car culture for generations. George Barris promoted the curse narrative, but the real curse was simpler. The Spyder was too pure, too fast, too honest for a world not ready for it. Dean's little racing machine proved that sometimes legends aren't born from triumph, but from the moment when speed, youth, and fate collide. 1930 Cadillac V16 convertible, the Kingmaker, 16 cylinders. In 1930, while America descended into Great Depression, Cadillac answered with excess as antidote. The V16 wasn't about need. It was about declaring that some things remained untouchable by economic catastrophe. That massive 452 cubic inch engine produced 175 horsepower with a smoothness that felt supernatural. Vacuum-assisted clutch, synchromesh transmission, and coach-built bodies by Fleetwood transformed each V16 into a custom palace on wheels. Hollywood studio chiefs ordered them for premieres, knowing that nothing communicated power like 16 cylinders firing in perfect silence. The Depression-era rich didn't hide. They arrived in V16 Cadillacs with bespoke paint, custom interiors, and with trim that cost more than most Americans earned in a year. This was quiet wealth on wheels, the automobile equivalent of whispering when everyone else was shouting. List prices ran into Rolls-Royce territory, but the V16 carried something the British cars couldn't: American swagger wrapped in American silence. Studio bosses knew the truth. In Hollywood, perception was everything, and nothing shaped perception like a 16-cylinder Cadillac announcing your arrival. 1956 Jaguar XKSS, cool on four wheels. Steve McQueen called it the green rat. That should tell you everything. Take a Le Mans winning D-type racer, add a passenger seat, minimal weather equipment, and a windscreen barely tall enough to matter, and you had the Jaguar XKSS, the closest thing to a race car you could legally drive on California streets. Only 16 were completed before fire consumed Jaguar's Browns Lane factory in 1957, killing the planned production run of 25. That 3.4-liter straight-six with disc brakes and lightweight Monaco construction turned Beverly Hills into a personal race circuit. McQueen collected speeding tickets like trophies, blasting through Los Angeles at night, the quick-release steering wheel ready to come off in his hands. Legend says Vaughn Dutch himself pinstriped the glove compartment. The XKSS wasn't about comfort or compromise. It was a Le Mans winner in a leather jacket, the automotive equivalent of McQueen himself. No other star would have chosen something so raw, so unforgiving, so brutally honest. While other celebrities posed in Rolls-Royces, McQueen lived in his green rat, proving that the coolest man in Hollywood needed the coolest car ever built. 1931 Duesenberg Model J, the machine that outshone its owners. Before the supercharged SJ, before the ultra-rare SSJ, there was the Model J, the standard bearer that made it's a doozy into worldwide slang for excellence. Introduced in 1928, the J carried a 420 cubic inch dual overhead cam straight 8, producing a staggering 265 horsepower, naturally aspirated. In an era when Ford offered 40, Duesenberg offered 265. 4 valves per cylinder, precision engineering, and a 142.5-inch wheelbase provided canvas for America's greatest coach builders, Murphy, LeBaron, Durham, to create rolling art. Hollywood royalty, European aristocracy, and American industrial titans queued for the privilege of commissioning their own J. Some chose formal town cars, others streamlined speedsters. Each took months to complete, each cost a fortune, and each announced that its owner had transcended ordinary wealth. The Model J could exceed 116 miles per hour when most cars struggled past 70. It combined power, luxury, and style in proportions that seemed impossible. The Depression killed many luxury marques, but Duesenberg kept building through the darkest years because their clientele lived beyond economic reality. The Model J wasn't about getting somewhere. It was about arriving as a god. 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing, the star that could fly. Those doors. The moment the 300 SL's Gullwing doors swung skyward, every parking lot became a runway, every arrival a premiere. But the doors weren't styling theater, they were engineering necessity. Mercedes-Benz built the 300 SL around a revolutionary tubular space frame, so tall that conventional doors couldn't clear the structural rails. The solution became the signature. Beneath the sci-fi bodies of the world's first production car with direct fuel injection, a mechanical marvel that helped the 3.0-liter straight-six produce 215 horsepower and push the Gullwing past 160 miles per hour. This was a racing car for street, descended from the W194 that dominated sports car racing in 1952. American importer Max Hoffman pushed Mercedes to build it, and when the Gullwing debuted in New York, it rewrote the rules for what production cars could achieve. Hollywood elites lined up, cameras flashed on Sunset Boulevard, and the 300 SL became the ultimate automotive status symbol. Space-age technology, European sophistication, and theatrical arrival combined. Only 1,400 coupes were built between 1954 and 1957, but the Gullwing's influence on automotive design and celebrity car culture proved eternal. Some cars you drove, the 300 SL you performed. 1948 Tucker 48, the dream that died young. 51. That's how many Preston Tucker managed to build before his dream collapsed under political pressure and corporate opposition. But what a dream. The Tucker 48 bundled innovation into a streamlined sedan that looked like tomorrow. Central Cyclops headlight that turned with a steering wheel, rear-mounted air-cooled engine, perimeter safety frame, padded dashboard, pop-out windshield for ejection safety. Tucker wasn't just building cars. He was building the future. And post-war Hollywood, hungry for optimism and innovation, took notice. The Tucker Torpedo became a publicity magnet, touring Los Angeles, drawing celebrities and press coverage. Each detail challenged Detroit's conservative approach. Independent suspension, disc brakes, features mainstream manufacturers would take decades to adopt, but innovation threatened the establishment, and Preston Tucker learned that in America, sometimes the future arrives too soon. The rapid rise and spectacular fall inspired a Francis Ford Coppola film. Today, each surviving Tucker 48 is a museum piece, a what-if machine, proof that sometimes the greatest American cars are the ones that never got their chance. The Tucker remains the ultimate vindication. History proved Preston right about everything except the timing. 1953 Cadillac Ghia Coupe, Rita's rolling runway. One of two, a custom Cadillac body built by Italian coach builder Ghia, dripping with jet age drama. Quad headlights years before they became mainstream, a low Italian roofline, and interior details like jewelry box craftsmanship. The rumor has circulated through car culture for decades. One of these bespoke coupes belonged to Rita Hayworth herself. Auction houses and museums carefully noted as rumor, never confirmed, but the story persists because it feels true. This was exactly the kind of machine a Hollywood goddess would commission, American power wrapped in Italian elegance, custom from the wheels to the chrome. The Peterson Museum vault holds one example, a rolling mystery that combines documentation gaps with undeniable glamour. What's certain is that these Cadillac Ghias represented peak custom culture. When stars didn't just buy cars, they commissioned rolling expressions of their personas. Quad headlights telegraphed future styling. The low stance and continental proportions mixed American muscle with European sophistication. Whether Hayworth owned one or not, the Ghia Coupe remains a perfect symbol of 1950s Hollywood, custom, mysterious, and absolutely unforgettable. Sometimes the legend matters more than the paperwork. 1939 Packard 12 convertible, the gentleman's trophy, the last of America's production V12s. By 1939, the Great Depression had killed most multi-cylinder luxury marques, but Packard held on for one final year with their magnificent 12. That 473 cubic inch V12 produced 175 horsepower with a smoothness that felt like riding on compressed silk. Hollywood power brokers knew the Packard difference. Dealer Earl C. Anthony marketed the 12 as a studio boss choice, and it showed. On a 139-inch wheelbase, coach builders like Brunn and Dietrich created convertible Victorias and formal sedans that could touch 100 miles per hour while passengers discussed contracts in leather-lined silence. The 12 represented old money elegance, the automotive equivalent of a perfectly tailored suit. It didn't scream for attention. It commanded respect through presence alone. Studio heads arrived at premieres in Packard 12s, understanding that in Hollywood's hierarchy, the right car mattered as much as the right table at the Brown Derby. When production ended after 1939, it marked the conclusion of an era. America wouldn't build another luxury V12 for decades. The Packard 12 rolled off into history as the last gentleman's trophy, drama, dignity, and unstoppable grace wrapped in Depression-era engineering excellence. 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz, tail fin royalty, peak fins, the absolute apex of America's post-war optimism transformed into chrome and steel. The 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz wore tail fins, so tall they required their own zip code. At 225 inches long and wearing fins that shot 42 inches into the air, the Biarritz convertible didn't just occupy space, it conquered it. Under that endless hood sat Cadillac's 390 cubic inch V8 with tri-power carburation, producing 345 horsepower, enough to move all 4,855 pounds with authority. Only 1,320 Biarritz convertibles were built in 1959, each costing $7,401. Serious money when average American houses sold for $12,000. Air suspension, Autronic eye automatic dimmer, cruise control, Wonder Bar radio. The Eldorado stacked luxury features like poker chips, but specs didn't make the 59 Eldorado legendary. The visual drama did. Those rocket fins captured everything America felt in 1959: confidence, excess, atomic age optimism, and the absolute certainty that tomorrow would be even bigger. Hollywood loved them. Pink ones, white ones, rolling down Sunset Boulevard like parade floats with chrome bumpers as complex as jewelry. The 1959 Eldorado became the most photographed Fins on Earth, the rolling neon sign of American dreams. When people imagine old Hollywood glamour, they imagine this: a Beaver's convertible, top down, fins catching California sun, pure excess without apology. 1932 Auburn Boattail Speedster, Art Deco on the highway. Gordon Beard drew a dream, and Auburn built it. The Boattail Speedster with its teardrop tail, chrome side pipes, and a brass dashboard plaque guaranteeing 100.8 miles per hour before shipment. Race driver of Jenkins validated the claim with publicity runs that made headlines. The supercharged 851 SC of 1935 pushed a Lycoming straight 8 with Schwitzer Cummins supercharger to 150 horsepower, channeled through the innovative Columbia dual ratio rear axle that gave 2 ratios per gear. But numbers don't explain why the Auburn Speedster became Hollywood royalty. The styling did that. Those flowing fenders, that pointed boat tail, the way chrome pipes emerged from the hood like exhaust from a speedboat. Pure jazz age excess transformed into rolling sculpture. A supercharged Speedster co-starred with Marlene Dietrich in the 1936 film Desire, forever cementing its Hollywood credentials. The Auburn represented Art Deco at highway speed, American optimism before the Depression crushed it, a moment when style mattered more than sense. Each Speedster was guaranteed fast, but more importantly, it was guaranteed beautiful. Today, they're blue-chip collectibles, but in the 1930s, they were Hollywood's most photogenic automobiles. Proof that before the war changed everything, America built dreams on wheels. 1968 Ford Mustang GT 390 Bullitt. One VIN, one legend. 10 minutes. That's how long the chase sequence in Bullitt lasted. 10 minutes of Highland Green Mustang hunting a black Charger through San Francisco streets. And American car culture was never the same. 2 1968 Mustang GT 390 fastbacks were built for the film. One jump car, one hero car. The hero car, VIN ending in 559, survived everything. The badge de-chromed, suspension tweaked, and camera mounts added. Then sent into the streets with Steve McQueen behind the wheel, the most influential car chase ever filmed. That 390 cubic inch V8 roared through 4 gears, while McQueen shifted with precision of a racing driver. After filming, the hero Mustang disappeared into civilian life. McQueen tried to buy it back. The owners refused. For decades it lived as a family driver, its movie past barely mentioned. When it resurfaced in 2018, the automotive world stopped. At Mecum Kissimmee in January 2020, it sold for $3.74 million. The Bullitt Mustang proved that movie magic doesn't wash off. Every scratch, every dent from filming, every mile driven after the camera stopped, they all added to the legend. A mass-market Ford transformed into a shrine because for 10 perfect minutes, it became the coolest machine on Earth. 1937 Cord 812 Supercharged, the innovation idol. It appeared like a spacecraft. The Cord 810, introduced in 1935, featured hidden pop-up headlights operated by hand cranks, a coffin-nose grille unlike anything before, front-wheel drive, and a pre-selected transmission that let you choose gears before needing them. The supercharged 812 of 1937 pushed a 4.7-liter Lycoming V8 to 170 horsepower, serious power routed to the front wheels through independent suspension decades ahead of its time. When the 810 debuted at the 1935 New York Auto Show, crowds stood on other cars to see it. The Museum of Modern Art later selected it as one of 8 automobiles for their design collection. The Cord represented pure innovation. Gordon Beard's design team created something so futuristic that even today it looks modern. Those hidden headlights became automotive icons. The low stance and streamlined body telegraphed speed standing still. Hollywood's most style-conscious stars gravitated to Cords because driving one announced you understood the future. But innovation always costs. Production problems plagued the company, and by 1937, Cord disappeared, leaving behind fewer than 3,000 cars. Those cars became legends. The 810/812 proved you could be too advanced, too innovative, too perfect for your time. Every Cord rolling past the studio gates reminded Hollywood that sometimes the most beautiful machines are the ones that arrive too soon. 1959 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud II, Zsa Zsa's golden carriage. Gold, Not beige, not cream, not champagne. Gold. Metallic, unmistakable, Hollywood extra gold. When Zsa Zsa Gabor commissioned George Barris to customize her 1959 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud II, she didn't whisper her requirements. The result became television famous. A celebrity car before celebrity car became its own genre. Barris transformed the already magnificent Silver Cloud, 6.2-liter V8, GM-source automatic transmission, power everything, into rolling theater. The standard Rolls-Royce wasn't enough. Not for Zsa Zsa, not for Hollywood at the height of its success. That gold finish caught light like a mirror, announced arrivals from blocks away, and guaranteed that every eye in every parking lot would turn. The Silver Cloud, too, represented British refinement at its peak, but Barris's gold conversion represented Hollywood at its most gloriously shameless. This wasn't transportation. It was performance art. The car appeared at high-profile sales and exhibitions, always generating buzz, always photographed. Decades later, it sold at Art Curial's Retromobile auction as much pop culture artifact as automobile. The gold rolls proved a simple Hollywood truth. When excellence is enough, you gild it. Zsa Zsa understood that in a town built on spectacle, subtle was just another word for forgotten. 1956 Ford Thunderbird, the American darling. Ford's answer Corvette, but with charm. The Thunderbird wasn't trying to be a race car. It was trying to be a date. 2 seats, removable hardtop with signature porthole windows, and a 292 or 312 cubic inch Y-block V8 that moved the T-Bird with authority, but not violence. This was personal luxury, American style. The 1956 model added the Continental Kit rear-mounted spare that became instant iconography. Hollywood loved the Thunderbird because it mixed performance with sophistication, speed with comfort, muscle with grace. You could drive to the studio lot or Palm Springs with equal confidence. The 2-seat Thunderbird only lasted 3 years, 1955 through 1957, before Ford added back seats and softened the mission. But those early birds became legends. They appeared in countless films and television shows, always cast as the car driven by someone with taste. The Thunderbird represented accessible glamour, not as expensive as a Corvette, more livable than European sports cars, and distinctly American in its blend of power and comfort. Stars and starlets both drove them. The T-Bird became the people's sports car, the automobile that said you appreciated speed but valued style more. In a town obsessed with both, the Thunderbird was perfect casting. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible, the people's movie star, gold anodized trim, tail fins, available fuel injection on the 283 V8. The 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air became Americana, distilled. The year, the model, the look that defines 1950s optimism. Chevy built 166,426 Bel Airs in 1957, but convertibles owned the streets. Top down, chrome gleaming, those modest fins and wraparound windscreen created a profile recognized globally. The 57 Bel Air appeared in thousands of photographs cruising Los Angeles boulevards, became the dream car for teenagers and movie stars alike. Some chose the Rochester fuel-injected 283 that actually delivered 1 horsepower per cubic inch, a magic formula in the 1950s. Others opted for Turboglide or Powerglide automatics and just enjoyed the ride. The Bel Air democratized glamour. Studio executives drove them. So did contract players hoping for their big break. The 57 represented attainable style, the car that said you'd arrive without announcing that you'd gotten rich doing it. General Motors brochures framed the Bel Air as everyday elegance, and Hollywood agreed. Today they're expensive collectibles, but in 1957, they were everywhere. The prom night convertible, the sunset cruise machine, the automotive equivalent of the American dream. The 57 Bel Air never stopped being famous because it never stopped being perfect. 1953 Buick Skylark, chrome and confidence. 1 year, 1 exclusive model, 1,690 built. The 1953 Buick Skylark arrived as a concept car for the public, a hand-finished dream machine priced at nearly $5,000. Cadillac money for a Buick nameplate. But what a Buick! The The Skylark debuted alongside Cadillac's Eldorado and Oldsmobile's Fiesta as GM's Halo cars for 1953, and it brought drama. The windshield was chopped 4 inches lower than standard, the belt line dropped, wheel openings cut open to showcase Kelsey Hayes chrome wire wheels. Under the hood sat Buick's new 322 cubic inch nailhead V8 with 12-volt electrical system, modern power for a modern design. The Skylark carried Motorama's styling to Main Street, or at least to Beverly Hills and Bel Air. Celebrity owners included major entertainers. Bob Hope's Skylark now sits in museum collections. The 1953 Skylark represented exclusivity without pretension, glamour with substance. It wasn't trying to be a Cadillac. It was being the best Buick ever built. Chrome wire wheels, sweeping lines at lowered stance. The Skylark looked like it cost twice its price. Hollywood's A-listers recognized quality engineering wrapped in limited production mystique. 1 year, 1,690 cars, an eternal legend. The 1953 Skylark proved that sometimes being first and being rare is better than being forever. 1934 Rolls-Royce Phantom II, Garbo's Silent Escape. Whisper quiet. That's what Rolls-Royce promised, and the Phantom II delivered. The last of the pushrod straight-six Phantoms before the company modernized, the Phantom II refined everything the Phantom I pioneered. Better handling, improved reliability, and coachwork by Park Ward, Hooper, and other elite builders that transformed each chassis into bespoke luxury. Hollywood's elite favored the Phantom II because it communicated power without volume. In a town of loud personalities and louder automobiles, the Rolls-Royce offered something different: silent authority. That 7.7-liter straight-six provided effortless continental touring manners. Formal limousines and open touring cars both served as studio publicity photo backdrops, lending gravitas to any star standing beside one. The Phantom II epitomized a gentleman's automobile, refined, powerful, understated. Greta Garbo, who valued privacy above all else, recognized the Phantom II's greatest virtue. While other cars announced your arrival, the Rolls-Royce simply arrived. No fanfare, no drama, just perfect engineering operating in near silence. The Phantom II was a car for stars who'd already proven everything, who valued quiet confidence over chrome spectacle. Before the war changed everything, before modern V8s and chassis updates, the Phantom II represented the pinnacle, British engineering serving Hollywood royalty with unmatched discretion. 1963 Aston Martin DB5, the Spy's Hollywood debut. BMT 216A. Those license plates made automotive history. The Aston Martin DB5 was already magnificent before Hollywood touched it. 4.0-liter DOHC straight-six, 5-speed ZF transmission, 145-mile-per-hour capability, and touring Superleggera coachwork that defined 1960s grand touring elegance. Only 1,059 coupes and 123 convertibles were built. Then Goldfinger happened in 1964. Q Branch fitted the DB5 with revolving number plates, bulletproof screen, smoke screen, and a famous ejector seat. The gadgets were movie props, but they became the car's permanent identity. Suddenly, the DB5 wasn't just a superb British GT. It was the most famous car on Earth. Those silver birch paint and wire wheel combinations became iconic. The DB5's long hood and fastback roofline telegraphed speed and sophistication. While technically British, the DB5 became a Hollywood legend through cinema, proving that sometimes the movies write better stories than reality. Aston Martin later built continuation DB5S with working movie gadgets, acknowledging that fiction had overtaken fact. The DB5 represented the perfect merger of automotive excellence and cinematic mythology. It remains a definitive movie car, beautiful without being ostentatious, powerful without being crude, British without being stuffy. When a good GT becomes Earth's most recognizable automobile, you achieved automotive immortality. 1957 Ferrari 250 GT California Spyder, the collector's holy grail. California dreaming, Italian execution. Ferrari built the 250 GT California Spyder specifically for American clients who want an open-air version of the 250 GT. First long wheelbase examples starting in 1957, then the definitive short wheelbase cars from 1960. That 3.0-liter Colombo V. 12 with triple Weber carburetors sang Italian opera through Scaglietti's lightweight coachwork. disc brakes on later SWB cars, 4-speed transmission, and that unmistakable prancing horse badge combined engineering excellence with pure visual drama. Hollywood royalty recognized the California Spyder as ultimate automotive art. James Coburn's SWB sold for 8 figures. Every line, every curve, every mechanical detail represented Ferrari at their purest. Race-bred precision softened just enough for road use. The California name wasn't marketing. It was acknowledgement that wealthy Californians, including Hollywood elite, drove Ferrari's best business. Fewer than 60 were built across both wheelbase variants. Ferris Bueller's Day Off used replicas, but genuine California Spyders became the most valuable open Ferraris ever built. They represented the ultimate collector's dream, rare, beautiful, powerful, and dripping with provenance. From midnight runs along Pacific Coast Highway to museum displays worth millions, the 250 GT California Spyder embodied everything a classic Hollywood car should be. Exclusive, exotic, and absolutely unforgettable. In old Hollywood, every car told a story of taste, ambition, and escape. They weren't built just to drive, but to be remembered. From the thundering 16 cylinders of Depression-era Cadillacs to the screaming Ferrari V12s of the Jet Age, these legendary automobiles defined what it meant to arrive in style. The stars may fade, but the engines still echo. Each chrome curve and leather seat carries a whisper of the golden age. Proof that even when the spotlight dims, legends still roll on. The Duesenberg SSJ that Gary Cooper and Clark Gable competed over. The tragic silver Porsche that made James Dean immortal. Steve McQueen's barely street-legal Jaguar race car that terrorized Beverly Hills. The gold Rolls-Royce that turned Jaguar into rolling performance art. These weren't just vintage celebrity vehicles. They were extensions of Hollywood mythology itself. The classic cars of old Hollywood represented more than transportation. They were declarations of identity, symbols of achievement, and occasionally instruments of tragedy. They transformed studio lots into showcases and Sunset Boulevard into a rolling exhibition of human ambition translated into steel, chrome, and horsepower. From the space-age gullwing doors of the Mercedes 300 SL to the sky-high tail fins of the '59 Cadillac Eldorado, each classic Hollywood car captured a moment when anything seemed possible. Today, these iconic movie cars and vintage automobiles command millions at auction, reside in museum collections, and inspire new generations of enthusiasts. But their true value isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the way they make us feel. The romance of convertible top-down on Pacific Coast Highway, the power of a supercharged engine rumbling through Los Angeles streets, the elegance of hand-built coachwork reflecting California sun. The golden age of Hollywood may be gone, but its automotive legends remain, maintained, restored, cherished, and remembered. Because in Hollywood, time moves fast, but the classics never stop shining. These 20 legendary classic cars prove that the right machine at the right moment doesn't just become famous, it becomes eternal. And somewhere tonight, on some California street, their spiritual descendants are still turning heads, still capturing hearts, still reminding us that sometimes the most beautiful stories are the ones that roll on 4 wheels.